Hello, this is Joe Polish, founder of the Genius Network and Piranha Marketing, and I'm here with a couple of guys I've known for a long time, Clate, Mask, and Scott Martineau. They're the founders of a company called Infusionsoft, which is a pretty awesome company. I've been a client since you first founded in 2001. So, yep. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, well, here's the deal. For this video, we're going to actually show you some of Infusionsoft, some of the company, some of the employees, some of the headquarters, because that's where we're at. We're in one of the boardrooms. But first off, what is Infusionsoft? What do you guys actually do? What's a quick bio of who you are?
You want to take it?
Yeah. We're the leading sales and marketing software company for small businesses, and we are the only company that was really built to help small businesses manage the entire marketing and sales process all in one software solution.
Okay. So when you say you are the top, I mean, do you have competitors that would say that too, or you literally, that's your position in the market?
Well, there are a lot of people who claim to serve small business owners, but there's nobody that does it.
Yeah, and I think it'd be safe to say that our competitors would say Infusionsoft's the leader.
Okay.
We've been doing it a long time, and we've been doing it before anybody realized that sales and marketing software for small businesses was like a category that, you know, was a real legitimate category. So we don't think we're bragging when we say that. We're just saying we're the leaders in sales and marketing software.
Yeah. Well,
for small business.
You have a large company here. How many employees do you currently have at the time that we're doing this video?
We've got about 450.
Yeah. Okay. How many clients?
About 15,000 and about 60,000 users on the system.
Okay, so you're growing like gangbusters too.
Big time, growing more than 50% per year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about what does Infusionsoft do? Who's it for? Who is it not for?
Well, what it does is it helps entrepreneurs and small businesses. It helps them to find, get, and keep customers in a systematic way. Basically helps you to take the holistic approach to the sales and marketing process and put it into one system instead of having all these bits and pieces, you know, a contact management database for this, or, you know, Excel for that, and constant contact for this, and a shopping cart that does this. There's so many pieces of a sales and marketing system, and most of the people out there are trying to do it with, you know, different pieces of software, different pieces of, sometimes it's calendars and spreadsheets and all sorts of stuff. And so we give you one system to run all your sales and marketing so that you can do a better job, more efficient job of getting customers and serving them and you know, generating revenues over the life cycle of that customer.
Okay, so what I wanted to accomplish you know, during our conversation, and what I want the people that are watching this and listening to it to get out of this is a better understanding of how they actually can automate. Because in marketing, we always talk about, you know, marketing is the ultimate leverage, which it is, because if you rely on a sales team to physically go out and talk to people either on the phone or in person, you know, how do you replicate that person? And then follow up. You know, it makes for a good seminar speech. People write books about it, but frankly, most people kind of suck at follow up, yeah. And they don't really do it. And until you build it in to where it becomes just part of what you do, every person that comes into your business, into your company, and having a strategic system, you know, even people use the word system and they throw it around, although I don't think many people even understand quite what that means.
Yeah.
So I was your second customer.
Yep.
You know, using Infusionsoft way back when, and back then, us marketers, we had to, you know, kind of Frankenstein a lot of different things together in order to even have follow up. And so I've always thought of Infusionsoft as not a software or a CRM, which it is, but I've thought of it as something that just kept track of everything for me. And takes a lot of complexity and kind of automates it. So I'd like to get your just perspective of why companies fail because they don't have something like this. Even though Infusionsoft does this, it's one thing about having Infusionsoft, but it's another to even understand why you would want to have something like this. So if you could talk to that.
Yeah, so small businesses, I think, have a unique challenge because they don't have an entire marketing department whose job it is to go and make sure everything is followed up on, or in some cases they don't have a sales team. Some do, obviously, but Infusionsoft helps the small business owner who really needs to have something kind of do that for them. You know, that small business owners are notorious for knowing that, for example, they should be following up with every one of their leads, but they feel helpless. They've already got 3 or 4 hats they're trying to wear, and all their employees are tapped. And so we found that, especially for the small business owner, they need to automate things. So as a simple example would be, how many businesses have a website and they've got tons of traffic, or depending on, it doesn't matter how much traffic, some traffic coming, some are more than others, but their traffic is coming, reading stuff on their website, they're not ready to buy, but there's no lead capture in place whatsoever. We help to automate that process. So we'll help people put a simple form up online to capture a lead. For some businesses, that is massive amounts of automation. For us, that's just kind of like, that's table stakes. You got to be doing basic lead capture. And there's simple things like that, keeping their databases organized and segmented. For a lot of people, that's a lot of manual work because they've got 6 or 7 different systems. We help put that in one place. And for example, when somebody comes in off one of those opt-in forms on the website, let's automatically tag and segment that person so that later we can easily go find all the people who filled out this form on the website. So those are some simple examples of automation. And you go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, and you have businesses that are literally turnkey. The entire business is completely automated. You have, initial leads being captured, like we just talked about, full and complex automated follow-up marketing, where if the person does action A, this follow-up is going to take over and happen automatically. If they don't, this other thing will happen. The orders are taken automatically, and when somebody buys, more follow-up happens. The whole entire business can be automated. And you've got everything in between. Business owners there's something very addictive about automation. Sometimes it's hard to understand at first, but when they get a little taste of it, they just want to automate more. It means time. That's probably the biggest thing, and I'm reclaiming time. Yeah,
and you said, well, why do small businesses struggle? And I can't remember exactly the way you asked the question, but something like, well, why do people need to do this? Why do they struggle? And we can talk about systems and we can talk about automation and how that saves time, and all of that's true. But if we want to just get real for a second and say, why does a small business have a hard time generating the customers they need to generate, and getting the revenue they need to get to be able to make payroll, and or heck, if you're one person, just being able to do the things that you want to do in life, running your business as a solopreneur. It comes down to this: it is difficult. Business is so chaotic and so fast paced, and it's so reactive. I mean, there are always fires and things you're dealing with. And in entrepreneurship and small business, if you don't have an effective way to follow up with every prospect, customer, and partner that you work with, then you're just wasting money. You're wasting time. You're wasting opportunity. And this happens all the time. It happens with prospects. It happens with existing customers who you feel like they're this loyal client, and then you find out that they buy a product or service that you offer from one of your competitors. Well, why? Because you didn't follow up with them. You don't stay in touch. You don't actually have a way to consistently and reliably be in communication with that person and remind them of what you do and how you can add value and how you can help them. And so that when you peel it all away, the name of the game is following up with prospects, customers, and partners. How do you do that if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a system? Well, I'll tell you how you do it. You either do it with a bunch of manual labor, or you don't do it and it's in the back of your mind and you're wishing you would do it. Right. That's how most people deal with it. And what we do is say, no, put it into one system and automate the crap out of it so that you can have that follow-up happening, and you can move prospects and customers and partners along the path that you want them to follow, and they will turn into customers and revenue and opportunities for you.
Right. And people have asked me continuously over the years, because they know I've been using Infusionsoft for a long time, and what's funny is I myself never go and use it. My company uses it, my team uses it. I think part of business maturity is realizing that if you're not doing this stuff, it's not going to do it itself. You're just not going to wake up one day and it's magically going to happen. There are certain efforts and certain conditions that if you want them to exist, you need to set certain things up. And someone can go through trying to piece it all together themselves, which not only they're never going to do it the way that you guys have set it up, but they're also going to go through tremendous amounts of stress and anxiety. And when I was hearing you talk about how people follow up, I was sitting thinking about just personal relationships. I mean, if you look at marriages, you look at relationships with children, you look at the very busy entrepreneur that in many cases can be just so committed to their business, and in some cases a slave to their business. They're trying to wear all these hats, and they're having a hard enough time making sure that their partner or their spouse feels that they're getting enough attention, or they're feeling guilty about spending time with their kids. But then they have this thing called a business that needs to produce income for them, and that they're supposed to just figure out, not only be able to do it, it's hard enough to do with a single person who's important to you in your life, versus if you don't automate that in your own business. I mean, give me a break.
Well, you want to hear a funny spin to this? We have customers who have talked to us about automated follow-up campaigns they've put in place in Infusionsoft to communicate with their spouse, with their kids, like to send them gifts and to do direct mail pieces, essentially is the way we would think of it in business, right? But to actually send out stuff, send cards, do different things, and they actually use Infusionsoft to do some of that stuff, because if you don't think about some of those things, it's sad but true. You're so busy in business that sometimes you just miss really key important things. And so whether it's something as simple as a birthday card program for your customers or your kids, or it's actually something more substantial or meaningful. We actually have, in rare cases, customers that will use our software to help build relationships with their friends and family members, which is pretty funny and maybe a little sad.
well, I'll tell you this though. I mean, what is if it is something that you can automate, and it will take one activity that you're leaving up to human memory, which I would never recommend leaving anything up to your memory to do. If you can, why not automate everything out of your life? Because that's how you create a frictionless situation, because there's always going to be friction. So I don't want to paint this picture that this is easy. And a lot of things too, I want to bring this up. What are the negatives of, if you decide as a business owner you're going to go through this automation process, what are some of the pains that you're going to have to go through in order to get the most value out of it?
I think people are really afraid of feeling impersonal to their prospects and customers. We've all had enough experiences with people who are following up with us in a very non-personal, non-personalized way.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of great strategies for doing that better. I think that the idea that every single relationship in the business is completely automated, I don't think that ever really happens. But what it does allow is it allows people to free up their time so they can spend more time on the most meaningful part of the relationships.
Right.
So I think that's one of the fears of over automation for sure.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, if you're not a software guy, and truth be told, I'm really not a software guy. Scott's much more of a natural a sort of an early adopter of technology than I am. I'm much more of just kind of a pragmatic.
I'd love to see you two go head to head. That'd be scary.
But here's the thing: it's kind of scary to put this stuff in place, not just because of the impersonal nature, but here's reality. If you're not kind of a born systems thinker, which most entrepreneurs are not, you don't really have the natural knack of thinking, okay, what do I want to have happen in this process? On day 1, I want this to happen. On day 3, this, and on day 7, on day 16. So here's the point: you have to actually sit down and think through your process. Bill Gates is famous for saying, "I can't automate something where there's no process."
Right.
So entrepreneurs have to recognize you've got to actually put the process in place, and that can be a scary thing for people, especially if they're having to try to do it from scratch. And so, one of the things, having done this for 11, nearly 12 years now, we help you so you don't have to start from scratch. And that's really a hard thing that entrepreneurs have to get over. They have to realize, okay, well, how am I going to actually do this? But how's that going to work in my business? And they have to stop and think through it. And without a little coaching and a little help and some preparation, so they're not starting from scratch, it's a daunting thing.
Yeah, it is. And I would say that most people, they don't delegate any of this. They sort of hope that it doesn't have to be done, and they kind of abdicate it at best, and they don't. They just flat out ignore it. I mean, any of us could walk into any business that, for one, isn't using effective marketing and automation, and just see where they're struggling and where they're not leveraging the relationships. Because if you're going to be a good marketer, that means you actually have to relate to people. You have to communicate to people. What me and Dean Jackson talk about on I Love Marketing is, there's 3 units of the business. There's the before unit, what you do to get business. There's the during unit, once you start engaging with them. And then there's the after unit, after someone has given you money. How do you deliver world-class service to these people? How do you orchestrate referrals to your clients? And I could never reach the thousands of clients that we reach on a daily basis in some cases without all of this set up in Infusionsoft. I mean, it would be virtually impossible. I mean, if I was given all the money in the world, I just couldn't do that without a system set up to do it. So the question is, do you want to go out and figure that system up on your own, or do you want to go to crazy guys like you that actually, one day decided that we can probably piece all of this stuff together? And one of the things I talked to you about, Clate, is we were doing a short interview on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you asked me about my experience with Infusionsoft, and I had to fit this into this video as how I
whatever you came up with was so good that you wanted to make sure we got it.
Just the Joseph Campbell quote.
Oh,
I want
yes.
to say that again,
Yes,
because
that was awesome.
I've never figured out how to use a Joseph Campbell quote in, so I have to do it again.
Yeah.
But he had this great line where he's like, the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek.
Yeah.
And it's scary to actually learn this stuff. It's scary to actually deal with trying to figure it out and thinking through your process. But to me, what's more scary is the lost revenue, the continual confusion, the struggle that someone's going to go through if they, everyone wants this wonderful business with happy clients and communication and not pissing people off. But if you're not, you're either going to stay very small so you can just manage this, or you're going to actually grow and leverage because you've actually built in something that allows you to replicate and scale.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You just can't do an effective job of marketing if you're not willing to set up those follow-up systems. And so you guys have actually spent an enormous amount of time and have thousands of some of the best marketers in the world that use Infusionsoft that you interact with on a daily basis. And you learn what they do, how they do it, and you build systems to allow them to do stuff better. But the great thing is you see everything. Infusionsoft, what I tell people that'll listen is that you're not getting a CRM here. That's part of what you're getting. But what you're getting is you're getting all the best recipes on the planet. This is like a big giant recipe book of how to run a successful business. And you know what? It's not going to do everything.
We might steal that from you. That's pretty good.
No, you should. It is.
Yeah.
It's a recipe book.
It's exactly right.
And your whole thing about process, everyone, even people that are failing, they probably don't think of it this way, but they have a process of failure. They're not doing this. They're not doing this. They're not following up here. They're not following up here. Guess what? They don't have enough money in the bank. They're not tracking things. And if you don't, the whole management thing, that which is measured, you can manage. And if you don't measure it and track it, then how do you know?
Yeah.
And so that's well. Yeah. I'm done talking now.
No, I just
I love the recipe book. The recipe book thing. You're dead on. It's awesome.
I think that when you came on board, that was the Wild West of the small business marketing. You and some of your other marketing experts in the different fields were just blazing the trails, right? And even the people that were learning from you, I think, still had to do a little bit of trailblazing. But it's a new world now. I think the scariness of that challenge, I think, has just gone way down, because you got businesses in every industry who have set up these automatic marketing systems, and it's nice. We have, one of the things we've invested a lot in is a campaign template library, so that you literally have all of this whole follow-up system bundled together. And so there might be one to go get referrals, another one to follow up with leads on a website, and you can just, our customers love being able to take those and just plug them in.
Right.
Yeah, and I was just going to say something. It's scary to do this this process automation, this follow-up automation. It's scary to do it. It's a little bit scary to do it if you're a marketer, but marketers tend to they see the benefits of it. They see they're a little bit more longer term thinking. Just the nature of marketing is such that you develop a relationship and you cultivate that relationship over time before you necessarily go for the sale on day one.
Right.
And a lot of entrepreneurs are much more sales oriented, where they go for the sale on day one, than they are marketing oriented, where they recognize there's a need to cultivate and nurture. And so for marketers, the concept of putting together this kind of multi-step communication campaign is a little bit more natural. It's still a little bit scary, But for the regular Joe, the average Joe that is not a marketer, it's really scary. And what we found, it's been fascinating for us. What we found over the last 10 years or so, we've seen our customer become more and more of just an everyday entrepreneur that wants to be successful in their business. Whereas in the early days, it was like we were working with the best marketers, and we still do. Make no mistake. But when you're bringing on 600, 700, 800 new customers a month, they're not all the best marketers in the world, right?
Right.
But so we see two really interesting things. One, we continue to get just great wisdom over the years of marketers and how they apply these campaigns, in these follow-up campaigns in their business to be successful. And then two, we see how the average consultant, speaker, plumber, attorney, CPA is becoming more it's becoming more feasible for them to take this kind of technology and this kind of marketing wrapped up into what we call a follow-up campaign and put it in place in their business. And so it's really fun to see. It's awesome for us to watch. Now we're over 50,000 users using the software and getting to see them do stuff that frankly 10 years ago was like marketing, ninja work for people.
Right. Yeah.
And it's becoming much more mainstream, and that's really, really satisfying.
Well, I make the joke that I used to pay you guys probably $10,000 for stuff that you can now get for like $50 or something.
Right.
My pain should be the benefit of all of these people that are watching this that are new. Well, so when someone comes in to do this, aside from giving them the platform, and let me say this, the platform can help them generate leads, follow up with leads, track conversion, track revenue, track referrals, track vendors, everything.
And all the customer follow-up. A new customer comes into your business. How do you treat that customer? Well, we all want to treat that customer with love and care and appreciation. Well, how about you think through one time what you'd like to have happen with that customer during their first week, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, whatever you want to call it, and program that to happen automatically so that your customer has a wow experience when they come into the business. And then likewise, for customers that have been there a long time, what's the process for following up with them and staying in touch and making them aware of other products and services that you offer and checking in with them to see if life has changed and there's a new need for them. All of those things can and should be automated.
Yeah, well, and you've got, I just happen to have this, you've got all kinds of stuff. This is this fancy life cycle marketing planner. So someone gets this tool, this system, the CRM called Infusionsoft, but what they also have access to is you help them think this through. And so that's what I really want to point out, because I will constantly have conversations with people that are like, well, there's this other simpler database, or there's this other company that we can use, and I'm like, well, how long have they been in business? Well, they're pretty new, and how many the world's leading marketers use them? A couple. I'm like, well, so the top people in this business use Infusionsoft. So is that because there's no other options? Well, yeah, in some cases that's the case. The other thing is that you guys have all of these best practices, as I'll refer to them, going back to the recipe thing. So when someone becomes a client, what do you provide them in terms of teaching them and helping them do what it is they need to do and want to do better? Because a lot of people are not aware of just how much coaching, training, and support exists at this company. And after we're done chatting here for a bit, I'll walk around with Scott and he can show some of these real people that are here to see this is not some dude running a software company out in the closet.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
So every customer that signs up is assigned a dedicated success coach, and they're basically consulting with this customer. They'll take them through the lifecycle marketing system, and they'll ask questions about how are you attracting traffic and capturing leads and nurturing the prospects and converting sales, all the way through to getting the customer on board and wowing them. And that process really helps to uncover the biggest need and the biggest place where the business owner can put their focus. And so for some, it might be, we're going to put a lead capture system in place and a basic follow-up system to make sure that we're following up with these leads that are just getting wasted right now. For others, they may have a big list of customers, and so they're going to take one of the new customer campaigns or an upsell campaign and put that in place. And we just found that for a lot of business owners, the idea of coming and adopting software and having to think through these systems, that's a little too much. And so we've it costs a lot. It's a big investment to have all of our success coaches out there. But it really helps the small business owner to put that strategy in place.
Yeah, and we like to say, software, we're not just about software. We're about so much more than that. Our purpose is to help small businesses succeed, and it's not to sell them software. That's not our purpose. Software is the central part of what we do, but around the software we put the consulting that Scott's talking about, the training, events, networking opportunities, all kinds of things where customers come together to learn and grow and develop their business. What we do is we help entrepreneurs succeed. That's what we're about, and it just so happens that we do that primarily through sales and marketing software. But if you've been to InfusionCon, or you've been to one of our training events, or one of the monthly regional events that we do, we're helping small businesses be successful, and that comes down to understanding the sales and marketing process better, the follow-up process better, and of course we have a system that they can use to do that. But that's really kind of at the heart of it. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes around the software to help small businesses have the tools that they need to be successful.
Another big component too is that the coaches will help the small business owner put together kind of the dashboard, their key reports, so they know. They finally can know, actually we generated this many leads in this month, and those leads turned into this many customers, this much revenue. And for a lot of people, these are their stats they're not really watching. They're just they're watching the bank account. That's an important stat that everybody watches. But we provide some other ways to see what's working and what's not.
So what will Infusionsoft not do, in case there's this expectation of someone comes in and they think it's going to just run their whole company for them or whatever? What can it not do?
It's not accounting software. It's not, although it charges credit cards, and you can it does that aspect of kind of receivables, if you want to think of it that way. But it's not to replace QuickBooks, or something like that. It's not project management software, like Basecamp or something like that. It's not that. It's really not intended to be kind of the back office part of small business. It's sales and marketing software. It's the software that you use to attract customers and convert those, attract leads and convert those leads into customers, and then continue working with those customers over the life cycle and get the most out of those customer relationships. So it's customer management software, sales and marketing software.
Gotcha. Well, we all are friends with Dan Sullivan,
Yeah.
founder of Strategic Coach, and he. I have a lot of conversations with him, and I'll actually put this video on our podcast that me and him do called 10X Talk. And several years ago, Dan talked about in business, if you think of having a tool belt, a toolbox, and a tool shed. A tool belt are the tools you use every day, like a cell phone, a computer, a CRM, a software. A tool, a tool box would be something that are, you use frequently, like a monthly client newsletter as an example.
Yeah.
And then a tool shed would be special need. And if you're going to use a computer every day, you should use the very best computer that you could use, because you use it every day. If you have a cell phone or any sort of like technology device that's a pain in the butt, get the very best thing if you're going to use it daily. And if it's something that you use every once in a while, you can rent it, you can lease it, whatever. But when it comes to your clients, when it comes to interacting with all of these people, this is something that this is so important. Why, if you want to have the most successful business, why wouldn't you get the most important tool that you're going to use day in, day out? And that's how critical I think this is. And I see these business owners that are continuously having challenges with staying in touch with people and marketing and selling what it is they sell, but then they don't take the time to actually set it up in order to have that. And it's like crazy. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if there, I have a friend named JR, he's a former Make-A-Wish kid, and he has this great line, I don't think he came up with it, but he says it to me all the time, is those that get it, no explanation is needed. Those that don't, no explanation will do. So people that get
good.
this, they kind of get what it is I'm saying, but some people, no matter what you say, so the reason I'm bringing it up, if there's anyone that is so dense to think that if they don't automate the follow-up, that they're really going to mine the gold mine that is their business and should be their business, they're kidding themselves. But those people that are, kind of contemplating, how do you do this? How do they start? How do they get started with Infusionsoft? Or what do they look at first to even evaluate if it's a right fit to them or not? Because I know that you guys have transformed thousands of businesses. You've taken so much stress and pain, and there's people that you've added millions of dollars to their revenue simply because they have this tool on their tool belt and they use it every day. But people that do not, where do they get started?
Well, here's something that's really interesting. I thought of this as you were talking. One of the things to me that's most interesting about Infusionsoft is that our customers almost always come to us after they've been in business 1 to 2 years. And the reason is that you don't know what you don't know until you've gone through it and you've stubbed your toe and you've banged your head against the wall and you just start to say there's got to be a better way. And what happens is businesses kind of get to a point where they're like, okay, I'm ready to grow up. I'm ready to take this seriously. I'm ready to turn this from being a hobby into being a real business. And that's when we can do our best work for an entrepreneur, for a small business. They kind of have to get past that time where they don't really appreciate what automation can do to help them grow. There's just a stage there where you can kind of quote unquote poor boy it, for a while, and then you kind of get to a point where it's like, you know what, I gotta get serious about this. I gotta do it the right way. And so that's what it usually looks like. That usually looks like a couple years of just struggle and frustration, where and frankly where the business owner's like, I can do this without needing a system to manage it. And then something happens. It's usually things like you made a mistake with one of your best customers and didn't communicate with them the way you were supposed to, or you sent them the wrong message and they got confused and you were supposed to send them a message about this and you sent them a message about that. So usually what happens is there's a painful mistake or there's a painful realization of opportunity that's just being squandered. Right. And that's when the business owner says, okay, time to get serious about this, time to grow up and stop wasting the leads that I'm getting. Why am I going to the trade show and bringing home 74 business cards and doing squat with them and having them sit on my desk for 2 months, then finally brushing them into the trash can? Right. I mean, there's things like that just start to happen, and people realize I'm spending money, I'm spending time and effort, but I'm not getting anything out of it. And so we see that kind of fact pattern happen over and over in businesses before they come to us. And then when they come to us, they're really coming to us and they're saying, you know what, I need a system, but I need some coaching and some help to do this. I need some guidance. I know you guys know the way to do this, and so show me the way that I do this and help me to get this stuff in place. And that's where our consulting and the coaching that we do to help our customers get started is so valuable. It's the combination of the software and the coaching that helps the entrepreneur get kind of over that hurdle that they've got to clear to get into a place where they can really automate and grow their business.
So is it a substantial cost at this point in order for someone to get involved with Infusion? I mean, what are they going to be looking at in terms of time, money, and effort in order to automate their company? I mean, I know it's there's
a lot less than what you paid, Joe.
That's right.
I say that joking.
I was trying to hold back the smile.
I'm trying to do this with a straight face, going, well, of course, yeah, it's a lot less.
Yeah,
so,
most of our customers pay between $200 and $300 per month for our ongoing service, and then there's also an initial implementation setup charge, and that's what gets people the success coach and all of the lifecycle marketing planning and getting the things launched. And those are usually $1,500 to about $2,000.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's really, I mean, the cost of getting set up on an ongoing basis is really minuscule compared to the opportunity for what people.
Yeah, and a lot of times once people are spending money on marketing, there's a difference between spending time on marketing and spending money on marketing. And when people start spending money on marketing, that's when they realize, wait, I could be getting a lot more yield out of the investment that I'm making. And in some ways, and I hate to be so trite about what Infusionsoft does, but at the most basic level, it just helps you get more out of your marketing investments, because you're generating leads, you're generating activity and interest, you've got customers, and you're spending time on that. But if you've got a bunch of holes in your process and stuff's you're losing opportunities, then you're not getting what you should get out of the investments you make. And that's what a system will do for you. That's what automated follow-up will do for you, is it'll make sure that every lead gets followed up with, every every customer gets followed up with, and you get more yield out of the investments that you make. So that's kind of a mechanical way of thinking about it, and yet at the very base, that's true. It's just getting more out of your investments.
Totally. I mean, one of the things that I kind of coined this term elf marketing, easy, lucrative, and fun. I would say you can have an elf business or you can have a half business, which is hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. And so part of it is setting up an elf business is never just easy. I mean, it may be hard in order to set it up, but once you have it set up, then it actually becomes easy. And I always encourage people that if you can't make a certain aspect of your business elf, why do it? Because even if it's lucrative, it's hard, annoying, lucrative, and frustrating. It's still half. And so, in order, I couldn't imagine doing the things that I do in an elf way without using Infusionsoft in order to do it. And there is no super simple way to explain marketing. I mean, I've been in the marketing business for 20 years. I've read over 1,000 business books. I mean, the more I learn, the more I realize that I don't know, that how expansive it is. In the most simplest terms, marketing is what you say and who you say it to. Your message, the copy, how you communicate it, and who your list. And that's what Infusionsoft helps you do. It helps you capture the list and automate what you say on it for as long as you want. That's the whole essence of it. And if you don't have that system automated, you're going to have to do it manually. And if you try to hire people to do this, it's going to cost you 1,000 times. I mean, for what everything Infusionsoft does, and I even think of this in the same way as a sales letter. If I can write a sales letter or a video or an audio that can talk to thousands of people, millions of people, if I had to have those conversations one-on-one, first off, I could never do it. And I wouldn't do that good of a job doing it. But if you can automate that system, I mean, think of the leverage there. And people, they're more apt to go out and hire like a full-time salesperson than they are to say, well, how do I take the time to figure out this? Right. That could replace 100 salespeople that would cost a couple $100 a month. Right. I mean, it's like a brain-dead sort of decision. So if anyone sees this and hears me say this now and then they still question it, then that person, I can't say they're ignorant anymore because now we just made them aware of it. They're just stupid. But so, we're probably going to do maybe another video along the way and stuff. But where do you see Infusionsoft in the marketplace in what it's doing for business owners? Because I know that you guys don't just have this goal of growing a big company, but really impacting a lot of people. When you walk around, you give your employees here an opportunity. You're constantly educating them. There's books and education everywhere. You're big believers in business owners and teams developing themselves and becoming better versions of themselves. So where do you see Infusionsoft 5 years from now?
Well, when we started the business, we had the noble pursuit of building it and selling it and making a lot of money. Originally, that's the way we thought.
Right.
And after about 4 or 5 years, we were like, we don't want to sell this. We love this company. We love the business. We love helping entrepreneurs, and we have a passion to help small businesses succeed. And we have a desire to help small businesses be successful in a smarter, better way. And so in 2007, our whole vision for the company changed, and it went from build it and sell it to we want to be around forever. We want this company to outlast the two of us. We want to see Infusionsoft change the world for small business, and so that's what we've been passionately pursuing for the last 5-6 years now. And what I see in the next 5 years is a public company that's a big standalone company that stands for small business success, not just software for small businesses, sales and marketing software, but is the company that people recognize. These guys are serious about helping small businesses succeed. So that's what I see. And I'd love to leave something with people though. Whether you ever get Infusionsoft, the software, I want entrepreneurs to be successful. When you think about, and you know this every bit as well as we do, if not better, because you work with so many entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs put their blood, sweat, tears, life into what they do. There's no kind of working, I'm kind of doing this thing. Once you get past the hobby stage, you are all in. And you're all in a way that most people can't understand all in. And we know that, and we see that. And we think, if you're going to be all in, then dang it, do a few things that are going to help you a little bit along the way so that you're not banging your head against the wall. And so what I would say is, whether you ever put software in place to automate the process, get clear on your process of bringing in customers. What is that process? Get clear about it. Get clear on how this actually happens, because so many times entrepreneurs are just kind of doing their thing. They're running the business, but they haven't taken the time to get clear on how leads come in the door, and then how those leads get turned into customers. By what process does that happen? And then once they're customers, how does that actually turn into revenue and dollars in the business and profit? How does that all happen? And if you'll get clear on it, then what happens is you start to see some magical things called follow-up opportunities,
right,
where you can actually dramatically improve the way that you bring in leads, the way that you turn those leads into customers, and the way that you maximize the value of those customers. And so it's as simple as coming down to lead generation, lead conversion, and customer follow-up. And if you get clear on that process, all technology aside, if you just get clear on that process, you'll recognize, holy crap, there's so much more I could be doing if I would follow up systematically. Not with software, just follow up, have a process for sending out letters and carrier pigeons, whatever the crap you have to do to follow up and get your message in front of people at those key points to turn leads into customers and customers into lifelong clients. And so I just, when I get a chance to get an entrepreneur that's going through the grind and just kind of trying to make it all work, I just like to grab them by the lapels and say, just stop and think for a second about what your process is. And when you do that, you will give yourself benefits in your business that are just you're missing right now because you're just in the grind doing your thing. So I would hope that when I leave this earth, on my tombstone it'll say, follow up. It actually works.
No, yeah, that's awesome. So no, thank you. And we're gonna do a tour of Infusionsoft so you can actually see a lot of what's going on here, because it's a fun company, it's a cool company, it's an innovative company, and they really do exist to reduce suffering for entrepreneurs. I think one of the commonalities between all of us is that we're all converts of our own system, and we created stuff to help pull us out of some of the traps that we were in, and we're helping other people get out of traps. And that's the reason I wanted to sit down and talk with you guys and show people this, because I know Infusionsoft is a solution that will not only take great companies and make them better, it will take great entrepreneurs and make them better, but it will take people that are actually struggling with the most important area of business, which is nurturing, following up, and communicating with your clients the value that you deliver to them, and it can transform your company. And I would be doing a disservice to any people that are in the marketing business to just teach them marketing strategies, but not a way to automate and systemize that. And that's what you guys, you're the best in the world. And so I love industry transformers, and you've totally transformed an entire industry, and you are now the leading company and organization in the world in your category with helping people creating what I would call an elf business. So we'll do a tour, and then we'll wrap up. So thank you.
Awesome. And we got a lot of free resources too. If your viewers want to go to infusionsoft.com, they can download a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. They can find free resources there.
Awesome. Okay, Scott, so we're here at the front entrance of Infusionsoft, and we've got this wall with pictures, I would imagine, of clients.
That's right.
That say, we empower entrepreneurs. And is there a picture of me anywhere on this wall?
We try to avoid having a picture up on the wall.
I mean, I was thinking a framed picture somewhere of me.
That actually would be
separate from all of these other people would probably be in order.
Yeah.
No, okay, so what's this about? What is this?
Well, I actually wasn't a part of designing this at all, but when I first saw this, this is one of my favorite walls in the whole company, just because it represents all the small businesses that we're out trying to touch. And our number one core value is we enable entrepreneurs, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, Scott, so we're overlooking the football field. Whose idea was this?
Actually, it was an accident.
Really?
Yeah, we at the last office that we were in, the landlord, the previous tenant left, and the landlord came in, and it was a sports training company, so they had AstroTurf in and a basketball court and everything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and he said, hey, of course we'll take this out to Clate. Clay's like, whoa, easy, let's just leave that in. So we've had the field there, and it kind of just became a part of our whole culture. So you'll see people out there all the time throwing football or frisbees, and it's a nice space for our company meetings, stuff like that. It's just kind of a fun part of the culture. So here we are. This is the dream room at Infusionsoft. One of our core values is that we believe in people in their dreams. And this is just a space we created. It's a quiet space. We've got a bunch of books in there. and it's just a place for people to come and to really think about the future and where they want to be. And we've got some cool places for people to sit in there. And one of the things we did about a year ago is we hired a dream manager. So we actually have an employee at the company whose specific responsibility is to meet with employees and just understand what are the dreams that are kind of being suffocated, and help them to get those out, articulate them, and then make progress toward them. And that could be personal stuff, it could be business related. And our employees really found that to be really helpful. So over here we've got our entire development team and our product, the designers of the product, our product marketing group. And they're the ones that basically make all the magic happen. So they do all of the interviews with the small business owners to figure out what they need. They build something and then they test it and do testing to make sure it's actually easy to use. They get it developed, they test it, and they're the ones that make all the magic happen. Smart people.
So Scott, behind us is this blue and white wall. This is your core values.
That's right.
And so go through them. Do you have them memorized? Do you actually know what they say?
I think I might get the order out, but yeah.
Okay, let's see.
So we talked about we enable entrepreneurs. That's obviously fundamental to what we do. We listen, we care, we serve. That's a big part of our culture. People have to be able to be willing to serve the small business owner, or we're going to be totally screwed.
Yeah.
We do what we say we'll do. That's pretty easy to. There's nothing more frustrating for a small business owner to have somebody in customer service tell them, hey, we'll get back to you on this, and then they don't hear from them.
Right.
So it's obviously a really critical part of what we do.
Okay, so behind us, this is really cool. It says Infusionsoft, the Everest mission. And so what, this is like a 5-year plan?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
we're a couple years into it, but this is the current mission that we're on. And we spent a lot of energy and time getting the whole company aligned to where we're going and what we're out to accomplish. And this is kind of the visual. Every employee has a laminated version of this that they carry around with them, and on the back it has all of the key stats and goals that we're shooting for the year.
Yeah.
But our Everest mission, that's the analogy that we use here, is about getting to 100,000 customers worldwide. And we're making our way up into Camp 2 and heading to Camp 3 and up to the summit. And this is part of a little more sophisticated strategic planning methodology and process that we go through. We have a very rhythmic, quarterly strategic planning set of exercises that we go through, and things that we do to create alignment and focus and clarity about where we're going. Find that without that we get chaos. Everybody's going in different directions, so it's kind of a way to keep everything going in the same direction toward the higher vision.
Well, that was an awesome freaking tour. You guys have a lot of cool stuff there, and as you saw on the video, a lot of neat things taking place in Infusionsoft.
Not exactly the most boring corporate office, is it?
No. and I do not like corporate offices, so
Neither
that's
do
what I
we.
think is cool about, maybe we can play some football and stuff now. So basically, now that people have seen it, they've heard us have a conversation about follow-up and automation. How do they get started? Where do they go? What are some of the resources you have?
So it's really simple. If you go to Infusionsoft.com, there's lots of different things you can do there. We've got a lot of educational content that you can consume for free, lots of information about lifecycle marketing, and we've also got a demonstration of the software you can go watch and see what the software will actually do. And a lot of the education that we do for our customers we'll also do on the front end. If you just have questions, you want to call us up, we're happy to guide you through some of the lifecycle marketing principles or answer your questions, whatever we can do to help.
Yeah, so I will finish by saying something that Clate mentioned earlier, which is grow up. And I'm not saying that to you, I'm saying that to anyone that actually thinks they're going to have some super successful business and they're not going to have a way to automate the follow-up process. And so if you are already grown up, this is going to make you a better version of yourself. And if you just aren't where you need to be, then it's time to get to a maturity level and say, yes, I am going to get this, I'm going to utilize it, and I'm going to step up to a whole new version of myself and my business. And so
this is an epic day that Joe Polish is telling other people to grow up.
Yeah. It's like the pot calling the kettle black, really. But seriously. So it was great, guys. It's always fun talking with you. So thank you. Go to Infusionsoft.com, and there you go. Today is the last day of the way your business used to be. Take care.